Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
Things we now definitively know in life. Mel is so much cooler than you.
Oh, way cooler and funnier, which that's the part I hate about her the most, is how much funnier she is. I don't appreciate it. I'm not kidding. I don't like it. That's rude. It's exceptionally rude. And like I'm interested, like she meets people in my life over the course of time, and they're all like, "Oh man, wow, Mel's great." I'm like, "Yeah, she's pretty cool." They're like, "No, she's seriously funny." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, we get it." And then like people will text me who I haven't talked to in years. They're like, "Oh man, Mel's hysterical." I'm like, "All right, stop. We get it. She's awesome. We get it. Cool, whatever."
And she's also fancier than you.
She's way yeah, picky up fancier. She I just got back from my trip in New York, and we actually drove to Buffalo and then flew out from Buffalo just to make things easier. And so Buffalo to New York is like this. Pretty much, they put you in like a paper tube roll and just kind of toss you.
A tuna can with wings.
Yeah, and so those flights don't matter. It doesn't matter where you sit. It's like a 45-minute flight. And I have another rant to come off of this in just a second. So on the way back,
did I hear that one before the episode?
No.
Okay.
And so they pretty much stick you in this, and they slingshot you like 40 feet, and then you're in New York City. And the way there was fine. We sat at the very back of the plane. It didn't matter because obviously. And on the way back, we were flying Delta, and I saw on the app, it was like you're sitting like 17 rows back. The plane's like 20 rows deep. So I was like, oh, that's a little better. And then it was like, your seats have been changed. I'm like, oh, okay. And we moved up to row 9. I'm like, oh, that's way nicer. We'll board sooner and get off sooner. And then it's like, your seats have been changed. And I checked again, and I was in row 7. I'm like, ooh, that's like comfort plus. A bigger seat, nicer headrest, a little bit more leg room. I was like, that's nice. Just scroll over to Mel's ticket, and it's like 1D with like circled in gold. And I'm like, she's sitting first class. She got bumped up to first class, and I'm in here in comfort plus like a fucking pleb. And she's laughing hysterically.
We all were, Ryan.
And so she's like allowed to board before like babies, mothers, military, veteran. Like she's boarding before everyone else. She's on before the pilots, essentially. They let her fly the plane. They come out, they offer her like whatever snack she wants in the world. They like run to the grocery store across the street to get her what she wants. I was texting her. I was like, what drink did you get? She goes, I didn't. I panicked. I'm like, are you kidding me? You get this opportunity once in your life. And she didn't get a drink. They hung up her coat for her. And I was like sitting on mine. And I get back there. I was like, hi, excuse me, can I have it? They're like, no, not for you. Mel only. Mel, yeah, it was, she immediately seized the day and started posting hysterical Instagram stories, and I did not. No, that was, it pretty much ruined my whole trip. I had a miserable time.
Yeah, but the fact she didn't comp on the free drinks, like,
yeah, see,
hurts a little bit.
It's because she's a communist. That's why. The commies don't know how to do anything right.
I've only ever been flown first class once in my life. But I had the benefit of it was Toronto to LA. So it was a solid 5-hour flight.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And it was going to a work trip, and I had to behave and everything. And I'm not going to lie, I was very buzzed when I got off that plane.
It's the only way to do it. It's honestly the only way to do it. This is my small rant, and I tweeted this, but it's important. It's out of anything that I've ever put out into the world, this is what I care about the most. Make this my epitaph. Play this at my funeral. I don't care, but just make sure everyone knows it. If you're on a flight of a duration of an hour or less, and you recline your seat even a millimeter, you are a trash human being. Garbage, irredeemable, don't apologize, it's pointless, you are never coming back from that. You are absolute scum of the earth. And if you're thinking, oh man, I've done that, I'm never going to say it because now I'm embarrassed. You should be embarrassed. Shame on you. Why? There's nothing to be gained from it. Nothing. Each way I went, someone reclined in just like the smallest inch because like, oh yeah, this makes it so much better. And then all of a sudden my knees are in my throat, and all the stuff that was in my backpack broke. All I had in my backpack was like clothes, but somehow even those shattered like they were Pringles. Stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. And if you've done it, you're wrong. There's no coming back. So you pretty much might as well just like, who is in exile? Cain. Just go wander the desert for the rest of your life. There's nothing coming back from that.
You're what, 5'10"?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why do you ask?
Moving on.
6'2", you mean? Yeah, of course. I do that a lot at work when people are like, how tall are you? I'm like, oh, 6'2". And they're like, really? And I look at myself, I'm like, no, not really. You got to do better. It's a tough world out there. You're not going to survive like that. No, I'm not 6'2". Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Returning, I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
Evan had a good stint, which you were all very excited about. And
He talked for like 25% of an episode.
Oh,
You'll
man.
never see that again.
so I actually didn't even listen to the whole episode. I haven't had the chance, but I listened to the opening, and I was laughing hysterically on the subway. From all the feedback we got, Evan seemed to be a hit, and it's like people rediscovered their love for Evan. And I was like, oh man, like maybe the show dynamic's going to change, and Evan's going to be here, and like he's tasted blood, and now he's going to be it. And anyways, Evan's not here right now.
He might be. We're not fully sure. I don't even remember what the opening was the last episode now.
You guys were talking about how when I became the dad of this. Or Evan had the line, Ryan read me the riot act. And I spit out my drink.
Forgot about
because I did. He wasn't lying. I had like... that line, Evan, please don't say anything that I have to edit out. I'm begging you.
Did you keep listening to the part where we started saying, well, this is going to be posted before he gets back, so he's editing nothing.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So the Red Wings actually had the courtesy to not do much up until after that episode. So we have a lot to cover today. First of all, the Red Wings are on somewhat of a win streak.
2, but for the Red Wings season, that might as well be 8.
Technically a streak. Jimmy Howard signed a new contract today. More news about Jeff Blashill. We'll talk about the 2 new Red Wings rookies who have seen ice time, and then some terrible injury updates. Pretty much, I don't know who's left to play for Detroit. Hirose might be the next captain at this rate.
I'm waiting for my call.
Someone tweeted, they're like, Ryan, can you play defense tonight? I was like, I don't know if I want to be exposed like that. I talk a big game for someone who would not cut it at the NHL level.
See, the thing is, though, we both shoot right, and I'd happily play defense if they asked me to.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be good at it. Like, I haven't seen my own zone in a hockey game in probably about 6 years, but...
That is the most self-aware thing I've ever heard you say in my entire life.
But for the Red Wings, they need a right shot defenseman. I got them.
And then we'll talk about some good stuff, which is... Spoilers, just Athanasiou is close to 30 goals. That's the whole segment. There we go. Welcome. That's been this episode of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, I guess they'll have heard.
Oh, yeah.
The new intro and outro now. Do we have a guest? Oh, I thought we had a guest.
No. Mika might be on her way down. I don't know.
So you guys will have heard the new intro for this podcast, and there's also an outro coming. That's something that we've been kind of working on for a while. We've been toying with it because we know how much you love our current stuff, but the reality is we had to make something that was ours. In the future, I would love it if Kenny or Mick could do a custom intro for us, and pie in the sky maybe someday, but for now we had to do something that was by the Winged Wheel Podcast, for the Winged Wheel Podcast. The voiceover artist who did it was phenomenal to work with, so we hope you guys like it. And we'll talk about it again later at the end of the episode, but the outro will save me a lot of breath, because she does a lot of the hard work for us.
Yeah, so Ryan's little spiel at the end of the podcast is now dead.
Yeah. Well, I still have to thank our name level sponsors, but besides that, we can finally breathe. Yeah. But no, we're actually really excited about it. We know it's a change that a lot of you were hoping wouldn't happen because of what we had, but
we fear change.
Yeah. Other things in this episode. Yeah, I guess the Blashill contract might be a big one. And then we're going to just talk about, the draft lottery, some projections, standings, etc., quick hits, and we'll get into overtime.
I don't want to talk about the standings anymore.
Yeah, well,
just saddens me. New Jersey, can you win some games, please?
Nope.
LA, you don't.
Yeah, they're where are the Red Wings sitting right now?
Third last.
Well, still, I would have thought would have been as high as 4.
No, the bottom 4 have really separated themselves, so I don't think there's any risk of Detroit going out of that class, but they've picked up some significant ground on New Jersey over the last few days. So they're only 1 point behind New Jersey now, I think, with the game in hand. Not that they'll win it, but they've, I think, separated themselves from LA. So
That's good.
no, they're ahead of LA.
Whoa, separated themselves from LA like
I
that
think they're
direction?
two or 3 points ahead of them now, at least.
Oh, that's not separation.
Not like in that part of the standings. It is.
Let me see stats.
You expect LA to make up 2 or 4 points on anybody at this point in this season?
League-wide standings. Maybe we should do this part later.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah, 4 points. But LA has a game in hand. 9 games.
Yeah, they're not winning it. Games in hand don't matter when you suck.
LA, if second last and it's not Detroit wins the draft lottery, I will cry. Terrible, terrible tears. We'll talk first about Detroit's previous games. So they've won 2 in a row now against both New York teams. So I was in New York from Friday morning to Monday night. Friday, New York played in Detroit, and Tuesday, Detroit played in New York. Like, you're kidding, right?
No away game for you.
No.
Sucker.
So Detroit won both those games by 1 goal.
Actually, I have you beat on one to make it worse. This was 4 or 5 years ago. I was in 2 parts of California for a work trip. One was near Anaheim. The other was near LA. And I was there while Detroit was on the West Coast trip. They were going through California. When I was in Anaheim, they were in LA. When I was near LA, they were in Anaheim.
You got to plan that better.
I was so angry.
Yeah, you got to plan that better.
I didn't plan it. It was based around when the manufacturer meetings were, but I was so angry.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, the odds of me being in California at the same time the Red Wings are, and I couldn't get to either. Anyways.
Oh, man. I tweeted out just like a throwaway tweet from the podcast account because Zach Boychuk followed us like he follows everyone. Just saying, well, someone's trying to be a guest on the show, like very obviously tongue in cheek, and the staggering amount of replies explaining the Zach Boychuk thing.
We get it. We know it's a bot.
We know.
We know.
Thank you.
He unfollowed a million people and then refollowed them all. He was like Thanos. And then,
Have you seen Avengers?
have I seen Avengers?
Yeah.
Like Infinity War?
He was like Thanos, but with 2 gauntlets. Snapped one and went, oh. But I mean, I know for those of you who are like, that's not how halves work, Ryan. I know, nerds. Shut up.
Well, if you keep going enough,
It'll never reach.
he just snapped like 117 times, so that it was just like barely anybody left.
The Red Wings won both games.
We already talked about the Islanders game. You weren't here, Ryan.
The New York game was a snooze fest. I know because I slept through it. That was exhausting.
Hey, Athanasiou scored 2, and Hirose got his first NHL point.
Yeah.
Things that need to happen when Detroit actually wins a game.
Hirosi's, it was a fine assist.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
Him and Kuffner, I'd say Hirose looked more noticeable than Kuffner did, but neither of them looked very noticeable in their 2 games. So
They looked exactly as you expect them to look.
Yeah, they look like guys who were playing college hockey a week ago.
Yeah, and who are getting a short tryout in the NHL before being relegated to the Brian Lashoff treatment at best over the course of their careers.
Yeah, I think I'm optimistic that more so in Hirose that he might actually end up being like a decent third liner in the NHL. He's got that potential. Not holding my breath. Most of the night, what is it? The ratio, like 80% of these college free agents don't ever become NHL regulars. So
Yeah.
like Danny DeKaiser is the exception to the rule, not the norm. So
remaining schedule for the Red Wings, they have St. Louis on Thursday and then Vegas on Saturday before our next podcast. San Jose thereafter on Monday.
God, you know what they're going to come out of that with? At least
two wins. Yeah,
2 wins at least.
It's annually they do this. Let's talk first about the contract that we're thrilled about, and I'm going to. This is my yes, thank you. Definitely Ken Holland listens to this show, and he'll listen to what I was saying because we were having the Howard debate a long time ago when we were talking, and you were like, you very correctly in my mind established here's what a starting goaltender will cost you in the league, and you said Howard will have to be extended for something similar to what he's making now, maybe even a small pay raise if it's a shorter term.
Yeah, I was guessing probably 5.5 for 2 years,
and I was like, I would not prefer to pay him more than 3.5 to 4 for a year. if he comes back, because I don't think he should.
Yes, and I would also like Dylan Larkin to make $1.5 million a year for 8 years.
Yeah. And, I fought tooth and nail with you for those episodes, and then I was like, no, he's right. Like, you just don't... For a starting goalie, and Howard has had a phenomenal season before the break of just, like, anybody who gets battered that much over the course of the season will slow down. He's an all-star goalie.
Yeah, well, this year he's going to have some PTSD because he's seen more rubber than a tire factory. But.
Yeah. And so by the time the All-Star game rolled around, I was like, I was being pie in the sky. Lo and behold, Jimmy Howard signs a 1-year contract for $4 million, no trade protection.
Oh, music
in
my ears.
Only bonus is it goes up to $5.1 million if the Red Wings make the playoffs, essentially.
So $4 million.
So a $4 million deal with no trade protection. Ken Holland is one severe goalie injury away from looking like a genius in this scenario. Honestly, like he's that again. Nothing is earth-shattering here. All he did was stave off. Ooh, I think we have a guest.
Either Mika's put on some weight or Evan's coming down the stairs.
I don't know, man. Mika's getting bigger every single day.
Nope, it's.
Oh, we couldn't keep him away. The taste of blood was too good. Yeah.
What up?
What up?
Oh, that was one of your more subtle entrances.
What are you guys talking about?
Jimmy.
Jimmy Howard's contract.
Oh, good for Jimmy, eh?
Good for him. You know what?
Good for the team.
Great. That was team friendly. Again, nothing earth shattering. All Holland did was stave off like a goaltender situation that wasn't going to solve itself, especially for a team that really does not need to be focusing on, a competent goaltender right now or like a superstar goaltender. They have their goalie set out for at least the next year. And if nothing comes up, I'm sure Howard will do it again the year after. With no trade protection, that also leaves Holland open to trade him at the deadline next year.
Yeah.
If there's a market for it.
Andre Vasilevsky goes down, season-ending surgery mid-February. Huh. Hey, Tampa, here's a shiny new Jimmy Howard for you for the low price of a late first.
Louis Domingue on his tiny motorcycle will be their starting goalie. Don't be silly. Did you see that clip?
I did see that.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Such a jerk.
What a bunch of jerk. That was...
Wrong state, guys.
That was a perfect contract. Again, significance low, but very, very nice to see that from Ken Holland. All the credit to him. Credit to Jimmy. To want to stay in a place and then take that deal means that he understands the reality of the game and was willing to do what he had to do to sign with the team. Yeah. So, that was nice. It's nice to be right.
And with how casual everything's been, like, we don't need to extend him before the deadline. It'll get done when it gets done. And then the news kind of like softly broke, like, yeah, there's still some language to be worked out, but it's basically done. Jimmy's just going year to year until he doesn't want to be here anymore. Like Lidstrom kind of did at the end of his career, where he was just signing 1-year contracts.
I'm impressed that Jimmy still wants to be here for the beating that he's taken. If this was like Toronto, where they treat their best players with the worst of abuse, I would not be surprised if he was happy to be out. But Red Wings fans really do treasure Jimmy Howard and all that he has to go through. Even delusional Red Wings fans who think that, like, Abdelkader and Eriksson are like the core of this team still know that Jimmy Howard has taken such a beating.
There's fans who hated this contract.
No.
And
no.
What? How? What?
No. It is... Like, again, understanding the small significance of it, easily the most perfect contract I've ever seen signed by Ken Holland since we've started this show. I can't think of a better, like...
They're not tight to the cap, and it's only 1 year with no trade protection. They have a lot of opt-outs here.
Yep. And
if everything goes completely sideways.
And if you think, $5.1 million is not worth it, well, I mean, if the Red Wings make the playoffs, then... Yeah, it is.
Man,
because it'll be on his back, let me tell you.
If the Detroit Red Wings make the playoffs next year, I will happily pay him the extra $1.1 million because that will be one magical ride based on where expectations are next year.
Evan.
Yes.
How was it without me, man? Better or worse?
It's more exhilarating because we're way less structured. We just let things fly. I thought of things. We just talked about them.
Was that what I was telling Brad?
We had a loose structure. Our transitions were pretty seamless, actually.
Yeah, we just talked about whatever the hell we could think of.
You want to do that today?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
No, yeah,
we're
the
already
mild
doing
racism didn't come until the 35-minute mark.
Yeah,
because we knew you wouldn't listen.
You know,
that
I
long.
wouldn't listen that deep. Yeah, got it. Cool. No doubt. Yeah, so Jimmy Howard, I would love to go into that, but that's the thing with good hockey news is that it's kind of meatless. We wish this was more of a meatless podcast, but here we are. A lot of injury news. First and foremost, and this one really sucks. Jacob De La Rose suffered some kind of cardiac episode.
They said he had an elevated heart rate during the game, like to a concern. And an NHL player's heart rate's supposed to be really high during a game, so I want to know how high that was.
Yeah. Obviously something to be concerned with, and you know the Red Wings, what with their history with Yuri Fisher, and then other players around their league, like it was Verdon Fiddler, right, on Dallas?
Rich Peverly,
that's what it was.
Yep.
It's nothing to be taken lightly.
They're talking he might come back still.
Yeah, to my understanding, it's kind of fuzzy, but I haven't seen any doom and gloom about it.
He's not going to be on the road trip, but they're not ruling out him playing after that. Even if he is given a clean bill of health, this is his heart. This season's over. There's 8 games left. Sit the man. Don't even risk it. Or there's 10 games left or whatever.
Is this his second one? Did I hear that correctly? The second one over the course of his career?
I think I heard that too.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. In any case, I do hope he's just kind of rested. I like Jacob De La Rose a lot. Again, like no first liner from when he's put on the first line, but I think he's been fine in the role that him and N have played this year.
He had a hell of an assist in yesterday's game to Athanasiou on the 2-on-1. I mean, De La Rose doesn't show that type of offensive upside more than a couple times a year, but hey, you know what? If he's like a fourth liner that's there to kill penalties and skate like the wind, sure.
Yeah.
By all means. Him and N on the same team seem a little redundant, but for his sake, I hope he just feels better.
Yeah. So if you want to know where those guys fit in on a competitive team, you only need one of those guys.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to have more than one to fill out their team that should otherwise be filled with talent.
Well, because they also have Luke Glendening, but he's busy on the second line at the moment.
Although,
lots of those guys.
to be fair, kind of fair right now because the list of Red Wings who are out for the year are maybe De La Rose, Mike Green, Trevor Daley, as was announced tonight, and Justin Abdelkader, I believe. Shulak, who was called up on an emergency basis, won't be playing because he's sick.
And Jonathan Eriksson is doubtful for Saturday, probable for Monday.
Yeah. So,
If you're cheering for the tank, now is the time.
well, yeah.
Okay, I have one point I need to make too. A team that featured a defensive pairing of Luke Witkowski and Brian Lashoff just beat 2 NHL teams, so I believe the rules are those 2 NHL teams have to fold their franchise now.
Oh, they actually just amalgamate into one NHL team. The good news is that they don't have to go far. And the extra good news is the Islanders now have an arena.
That actually solves a lot of problems.
It does, yeah. You're welcome, City of New York. Sorry, Long Island.
So what would the team name be then? Do they
The Manhattan Islanders. Come on, that's not bad.
The Manhattan Islanders.
That's not bad at all. At one point during my trip, I looked up and I went, oh, yeah, I guess Madison Square Garden is right there. I had not planned to see it at all. I did not. Oh,
yeah, everything in Midtown New York's like right there. You will see it all.
the NHL store. I was warned on Twitter to not go see it, and I hadn't. I read all the advice, and I was like, yeah, I won't go to it. It's worthless. And then I was like, we got out of going to see Hamilton on Broadway, and then we had some time to kill. And then Mel was like, the NHL store's right there. Do you want to just go pop in while we figure out what we're doing next? I'm like, yeah, okay. Garbage. Like,
It's a store. What were you expecting, just so I'm clear?
Interactive fan anything, a bigger displays, stuff to draw people, like tourists into like the sport, like NHL. You can do more with it.
Got ya.
Find me like, I don't know. Think of when if you live in a city where the Super Bowl has come, like think of all the stuff they put up, right? Like the interactive fan experience. You can have something there. Have like, it's the weekend. Have like alumni or people there like to draw. Anyways, they had a rack of All-Star Game jerseys, and Howard wasn't there.
Probably sold out.
Well, that's what I said. And then I asked the attendant who was just following us, asking, who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite team? I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to
It's like when you go in the Mandarin and they're like, welcome to the Mandarin. You're like, I've been in here for 45 minutes and you've said it to me 3 times.
Can I please eat?
Like, welcome to the Mandarin. Like, this is the bathroom. I've already been here.
Sir, this is a Denny's. And I was like, any Jimmy Howard Red Wings jerseys? And she's like, oh, yeah, we actually never even stocked them.
Wow.
What kind of prejudice BS is... This is why we beat you on Tuesday, New York.
I was like, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, that's completely fair. But I was actually pretty devastated. Wasn't impressed with the NHL store. She was a Leafs fan, the person working there, and she told me. And then she's like, I think the Leafs' biggest problem right now is they don't have a good backup goalie. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Garrett Sparks is their issue. Let's lean on that. Yeah, so it's funny how Leafs fandom...
And it's funny how different of an experience we had at the NHL store, because I was there in December of 2013, 3 weeks before the outdoor game at the Big House. So that entire building was decked out in Leafs and Red Wings stuff.
Oh, see, that's actually really cool.
So I've still got a Red Wings t-shirt that I wear somewhat frequently that I got that day.
Oh, I've seen you wear it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the old Red Wings logo.
Yeah, and yeah, so it was cool. I got to feel like this is my place. All you other plebe teams can just leave.
I saw those jerseys in person, and if there is one at the LCA when we go, that's at their end of season.
The Black
sale.
All-Star one?
Yeah, I'm grabbing that for sure.
I'm grabbing a white. I don't know who yet. I need a updated white jersey because those are the only two ones I own.
Well, it's going to be Hiroshi at this point.
So I'll get Hiroshi. You can have the Howard All-Star. Evans getting the updated Steve Ott.
I'm buying nothing. I speak with my dollar.
Yeah, well,
This is the guy who's going to the game on the
That's
$80
not my
ticket.
dollar.
the news that broke about an hour before we started recording, other than the Howard news
No,
and the
not
Daily
talking
News,
about it.
is
Nope.
Bob McKenzie said on air
Nope.
that he expects Jeff Blashill's extension to be confirmed within the next couple of days.
No.
Well, that's not good. I'm going to Nashville. I won't have access to Facebook to begin my Twitter tirade.
You don't have
Evan, I
Rome Like
will
Home?
pay for your data if that's what it takes.
Oh, I have data. Like I do have Rome Like Home, but if I'm on a bachelor party trip, I'm not going.
Yeah.
So drunk Evan replying to Facebook commenters, I will just pay you an hourly wage to do this.
I'm not doing it.
Well, we'll
be
pay for
so
your drinks.
stuffed full of barbecue, it won't even happen.
Oh yeah. So it's I tweeted that I'm going to save my breath for this until it happens, and I won't be accepting it to be reality until it does. I can come around on a lot of things. There's a version of me that might even accept a Ken Holland extension. Not a likely version, but I would have that conversation. This one doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
This one screams the late Chiarelli moves that he made and that they let him make. It also kind of horrifies me because it screams the organization's letting him do this, Holland extend Blashill, which means that Holland is in the long-term plans, which I know you guys just had an episode that you titled the Yzer Plan.
It's our fault.
But the Yzer plan did not involve Steve Yzerman coming in as the GM.
And it was as president of Hockey Ops.
Or something like that, yeah.
As Elliot Friedman on 31 Thoughts predicted. I don't know. I completely understand that. And, Pat Verbeek has done a lot of great work and was a huge part of that success in Tampa for sure. And that's a version of the Red Wings that I would still love to see. If you said it's that plan or nothing, I would be like, oh, man, that plan 100 times out of 10. But I still selfishly want it to be Yzerman in the GM role. And then if after some time he wants to take a reduced role as president of Hockey Ops, then reduce as in the amount of times, like hours he has to be at the rink, then sure. Yeah, I'm not prepared to forego the opportunity of even speaking to Yzerman as of July 1st. I don't know what's happening internally. No one knows what's happening internally with the Red Wings organization. Joe Smith of The Athletic, and he's a Tampa Bay writer, actually had a great article on The Athletic about the Yzerman situation and how much he loves being an advisor and how much this reduced role has allowed him to see his family more. Worth a read. He really drove home how no one knows how Yzerman's thinking. So we've all been speaking in declarations and everything, and the reality is anything can happen at this point. And to add that uncertainty, when I read that article at lunch today, and then this uncertainty of Holland is extending Blashill, contrary to
3 more years, let's go.
so many things, and you just know it's going to be like 2 years.
Dude, I will be happy with 2 years. I'm knowing that it's coming. I'm not happy with any extension. Man, I'm worried this is going to be 3 or 4 years. I can legitimately see it coming. And the thing is, too, I don't know how if we're just stupid, because like Chris Drury just got named the GM, I think, of the U.S. World Championship team, and again they're leaning to Blashill being the coach again. This man has a phenomenal reputation around the league. I, for the life of me, do not know why, but we're in the minority who think he's a poor coach. What I'm going to do to save myself the mental anguish and just the years of suffering is I'm going to legitimately change my mindset to give Blashill the benefit of every doubt, just so I can give myself some perspective, because maybe my own bias against him is now amplifying the issues I have with him. So I'm gonna try to be objective.
You're a stronger man than me. Oh no, don't be objective, because that'll get you right back to square one.
Look, Glendening's on the second line right now. I can't. Michael Rasmussen's playing 9 minutes a night. This is the man we're extending for a rebuild. Sorry. Objective.
Look, Jeff Blashill very clearly has a great reputation around the league. I like the way the guy, you listen to the way he talks and the way he says he approaches the team, and like you're like, yeah, I mean, I can understand.
I'm not saying everything he does is poor. He has his strength as his coach. I think the point we've been making the whole time is the flaws he has are so pronounced it's actually hurting the team.
I do think he could be a good coach on another team in a different situation.
He'd probably be a really good assistant coach somewhere.
Honestly, I know nothing about coaching development, what it takes. I very clearly am not an expert on this. I'm sure he would be, and I'm sure that would be great for his development as a head coach. To me, Blashill it makes me feel, and there's no qualifiable or quantifiable anything to this statement. It's just a gut feeling. He makes me feel like he has all of the bad parts of when Babcock was the coach and so few of the redeeming parts. Like, Babcock is pretty polarizing, and you don't have to extend far into Leafs fandom to see that. There are a lot of polls up right now asking for his head. And he took
a shot at Dubas in the media not that long ago.
Yes. And that's for any Leafs fans or non-Red Wings fans listening, that is a carbon copy of what happened in Detroit. Him and Holland very publicly butted heads over a lot of things, from as small as Ryan Sproul to as big as Ryan Sproul. Yeah, no, Nyquist. And that's what you get with Mike Babcock. But for Jeff Blashill, I just feel like there's no that puck possession monster that Babcock built isn't there. The defensive responsibility that actually translate into a defensively responsible game isn't there. The systems, the breakout, the small nuances, a lot of that is lacking. The development of players to Blashill's, well, credit might be the wrong word, but Babcock did. A lot of players didn't love him. And that's fine. The difference is a lot of players didn't love Babcock, but they still played great hockey under him.
You don't have to like somebody, but you can definitely respect someone.
Yeah, what was the old saying about Scotty Bowman?
Yeah.
You hated him for 364 days a year, but you loved him on the 365th because that was the day you were lifting the cup.
Yeah. So, like, it's not so cut and dry where, I'm saying Blashill has no redeeming qualities. It's just, what have we seen in the last 4 years that warrants this?
What I legitimately think happened here, and this is going to oversimplify the statement, but I think Dylan Larkin saved Blashill's job. I think they look at the progression of Dylan Larkin as a hockey player and went, yes. They looked at Athanasiou, his uptick goal numbers this year, and went, see? Whereas I look at a lot of other players and I go, these two guys progressed, and that's great, but these are also elite talents. Whereas we look at another elite talent like Anthony Mantha, who hasn't progressed that much. Why?
Michael Rasmussen couldn't find himself out of a wet paper bag right now.
Yeah, Rasmussen's struggling. Cholowski struggled so much after such a great start that he got sent to the minors. Hronik's regression looks like it started the last couple games. If we're using the progression of a couple players to promote Blashill, the regression of nearly, you could almost argue 80% of the team should also be on him then.
Yeah.
Because this team, and I'm going to repeat this to death because it's the first thing people always throw at me. This team was going to suck no matter what Blashill did. But a lot of these players could be doing better. We did not, nobody loved the Abdelkader contract when it was signed. He's fallen off a cliff. Nobody loved the Darren Helm contract when it was signed. He is regressing hard. Eriksson's barely an NHL player. Trevor Daley's seen regression. I mean, you run through over the past under Blashill's tenure, how many players can you confidently say have progressed? Larkin, Athanasiou.
It's important to note that Larkin and Athanasiou also had heavily underperforming years under Blashill as well.
Bertuzzi, we'll give him Bertuzzi because he's progressed beyond what we thought.
Yeah, look at what DeKeyser's done.
But DeKeyser's been so up and down.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like DeKeyser, by all rights, just stopped progressing. Yes, a lot of the underlying numbers show that maybe his initial performance was masked and not a reflection of how he truly was. But I don't know. DeKeyser fell off a cliff for some time, and
then he inexplicably bounced back this year. Is that Blashill? Maybe, might not be. We also
sounds
have
like we can't pull him either way.
I know.
How do you make this decision with, let's call a spade here. The Yzerman's the elephant in the room. How do you allow this decision to happen? I guess, I mean, if you're the Ilitches, or the person making this decision in the upper administration, how do you sit there and say, no, Holland, don't extend Blashill yet because we need to see what's going to happen with Yzerman?
Because they can fire him later.
Yeah. Let's not forget in Toronto, Randy Carlyle got fired a few months after signing an extension. The
coach's money left on the table is really inconsequential.
No, and I don't think that's what they're worried about, but this is an organization that's very careful to not do things like that.
I think the other thing they're thinking too, and this might be the one point that is fair to Blashill, is we've never given him a roster where we expect him to compete.
When is that going to happen?
So they might give him a 2-year contract extension and say, okay, we know this year is also going to be bad, but the year after we expect to compete for a playoff spot. And if the team doesn't progress when the roster progresses, or in a season where management deems this is a year we should start winning, and they don't, then they might axe Blashill, and they'll be like, okay, well, we gave him a chance with the real team. It didn't happen.
What are they going to axe him?
I don't know.
To me, this is just another. If you want me to create a crackpot conspiracy theory, consider this: Holland is very obviously pretty headstrong about wanting to still be a GM. He was the reason Yzerman didn't get brought on initially, because he refused to step out of the role, and he, to this day, will say, I'm not worried about my job. I want to be a GM. I'm going to do it as long as I can. And from all...
Well, what the hell is he going to say? Yeah, I'm worried that the darling of Detroit sports is coming back and going to take my job.
No, not that. But he's also pretty aggressive when people ask him. He's like, no, I'm the GM.
He's probably sick and tired of talking.
Yeah, I will fully sympathize with Holland on that one.
I'm not saying he's wrong for that. No, I'm not saying he's wrong for that. But if that's how he is, and the administration has a thought to bring in Yzerman, they're not just going to say, hey, yeah, Kenny, don't hire Blash, because that's pretty much a sign to Blash that says, hey, you got the boot.
What if
come July 1st?
What if Steve Yzerman is not coming to Detroit?
That's a very real possibility. If you read Joe Smith's article, it puts a lot of seeds of doubt in my mind.
We all think it's going to happen because we want it to happen, and it would make too much sense for it not to happen, but maybe the inner circle knows deep down that it's not.
My optimistic view on that scenario, coupled with the Blashill scenario, also fills me with sadness. It's maybe Blashill has such a great reputation throughout the organization, nobody's really pushing back against this. So even if Holland's not the guy steering forward, ownership, the rest of management's comfortable enough with him, they're like, yeah, it's fine.
I think that's actually what reality is.
That's probably what's going on.
It's Occam's razor. It's the simplest solution. Everyone just loves Blashill.
Yeah, everybody's a fan of Blashill, so cool. Even if Kenny's not the guy, the rest of us are good with him, so let's roll with it. Again, that gives me deep concern that the entire organization is, in my opinion, not far off base, but we'll see. Again, to give the benefit of the doubt, there has been a lot of things this year that Blashill has adapted that he didn't do in the past.
Yeah, all right.
We're still second or third last in the league.
Do not get me wrong. I still do not agree with the decision, but if he progressed a little bit this year, maybe he'll progress a little bit more next year, and then a little bit more the year after that.
You should probably be better than the players you are coaching.
Oh.
Your progression should probably be ahead of theirs.
You should probably be progressing a little bit faster than the inevitable heat death of the universe. That's my metric. I know a little bit crazy to work that way.
Couple 100 million years to wait. Still.
Honestly, I think the average temperature of the Earth has gone up faster.
Again,
Memes per 60 has not, but we're at an all-time high.
I'm not optimistic. I'm just
Just
saying.
laid into Brad there for no reason.
Brad?
Yeah.
What?
What?
Why Brad?
I don't know why, Brad.
I was
Just
the one
do it.
trying to take a somewhat optimistic view there.
Yeah, we don't like that here. Also, Evan, I don't like your truth about how we have to think about this Yzerman situation. I don't come here for truth. I mean, objectively, I do. That's why we do this podcast and talk in reality.
Yeah,
but it still
would-
hurts me.
It would suck, absolutely, to not have Yzerman. It makes way too much sense, and the timing is too coincidental to not be a valid truth.
Yeah, the sad, sobering truth.
And if it isn't real, then this sucks.
Yeah.
That all this happened at the same time.
The reality is that we're not going to have Steve Yzerman on July 1st. It's because he's not going to show up at the rink until the home opener, into which case he parades out to an announcement for the opening faceoff of the opening game that we're welcoming him back as the GM as he's walking out with Dylan Larkin C in his hand.
I think the Detroit sports world would implode.
I would probably just delete my Twitter account. Like, my work here is done. I have nothing else to live for. I'm ascending into the ethereal plane. I'll see you all in hell.
Steve Yzerman in a suit. And welcome the newest GM of the Detroit Red Wings, Steve Yzerman. He walks out with a thing of Gorilla Glue and a white C. Dylan Larkin just skates up for the face-off and he smacks it on the shirt.
Bare-chested. Logo painted on him.
Yep, and they're playing Tampa Bay, and just for funsies, Yzerman rips the C off Stamkos' jersey just because he can.
Are the C's? Oh, yeah, I guess the C would have to be.
It doesn't matter. Yzerman will get it off.
He'll do it. Yeah, again, we'll talk a little bit. There's going to be a ton of Yzerman talk heading into the end of the year. Do go read that Joe Smith article, because then you'll see what I said about, the advisor role has been great for Yzerman. But, I mean, small bit of optimism because it's a convenient reality. Yeah, if he likes the advisor role in Tampa, it'd be even better in Detroit.
This is
closer.
true.
I would I would honestly, at this point, be satisfied with Yzerman as an advisor for a year. Same role.
And on behalf of the Red Wings organization, Stevie, whatever Tampa's paying you, we'll triple it.
Bob Nicholson, can you please just offer Ken Holland like $10 million a year? Please. Please do it.
Just have Connor McDavid call him. Hi, you have one of me now.
Okay, but honestly, if you're a coach or a GM, is that not most the most attractive job?
Didn't a couple months ago we had an OT question? Would you rather have the Oilers or the Seattle GM job? And I said Edmonton simply because I start with a Connor McDavid. Yeah, I can make that work. Might not be right away, but I can make that work.
Might be a cold, desolate, barren wasteland, but at least you have a Connor McDavid.
Yeah, if you take Detroit as they are right now, I'm not saying we want to get rid of Larkin, but if you replace Dylan Larkin with Connor McDavid, how far ahead in the rebuild are you already?
Let's move on to a little bit of standings talk. We already mentioned Detroit's third last in the league. The playoff race is heating up in the West, actually. So Colorado is making a push.
Go figure. On Sunday, I say it's pretty much down to a 9-team race, and Colorado's just like, wait.
Yeah, they're only 5-5 in their last 10, but
everybody else is probably like 3-6-1.
They had a huge win against Minnesota, who's the only team between them and a wild card spot. Well, I mean, they're two teams back from the wild card spot. Minnesota right behind Arizona for the second wild card spot. But yeah, Colorado has a good shot. So Dallas, Arizona, Minnesota, and Colorado are the ones really fighting there. St. Louis is technically competing with Dallas for the third seed in the Central, but they'll probably hold true.
Dallas and St. Louis, I think, are probably comfortable at this point to say they're going to be playoff teams.
I would honestly be thrilled if Arizona made it.
I would love it. They're basically the Tucson Roadrunners at this point, and they're still holding a playoff spot.
The Roadrunners came out with their own Kachina jerseys.
I saw that.
More Kachina the world has, the better.
It's Kachina with more purple, and I'm a fan.
I've never been more wrong about anything before the Kachina jerseys.
What do you mean?
Because I initially didn't like them. Growing up, I didn't like them. And then they came back, and I was just like, oh, how was I so wrong about this?
You were young and naive.
I was young and stupid. Let's do a mock draft simulator, because right now Detroit has the third best chance at winning the draft lottery. So we're going to sim this once. And, oh, wow. Detroit is one of the three winners at number 2. So number 1 is Jersey, number 2 is Detroit, and number 3 is Colorado by way of Ottawa. And then LA, Anaheim, New York, the Oilers, Buffalo, Vancouver, and Chicago. Evan, you want to go first? Who does Jersey take number 1? Yep.
Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes. All right. Brad, number 2. for Detroit?
Kako.
Capo Caco. Are you okay?
I've got an eyelash in my eye right now, and it
That's a
hurts
weird
like
spot.
hell.
Yeah. Colorado will take Vasily Podkolzin at number 3. Evan, number 4. LA will take
Kirby Doc.
Kirby Doc, centerman. Brad, number 5. Anaheim.
Zegras.
Trevor Zegras, committed to Boston University. Number 6, the Rangers will take Dylan Cousins of Lethbridge. 7, Edmonton.
They'll take Bowen Byram.
Number 8, Buffalo. Brad.
Alex Turcotte.
Number 9, Vancouver will take Peyton Krebs. And number 10, Chicago.
They'll take Philip Broberg.
Philip Broberg. Did no one take Broberg?
No.
Yeah, all right.
Broberg's barely hanging on to top 10 in a lot of mocks at this point.
Speaking of mocks, you guys might have covered this, but Sportsnet had Kako above Hughes.
Yeah, that's...
Hot take alert. Where's the cowbell?
I saw that.
yeah, where's the Home Depot hot take?
Hot take. There we go. I saw the justification for that, and it was pretty much if Kako can play center, then he would be. But I'm like, that's a pretty big if.
And a lot of the comparisons of the players they made are not players you would take first overall. Barkov, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. Again, if a team takes Capo Kako first overall, it's not like this is a year where we're like, oh yeah, okay, that's what they wanted. Maybe not the pick you'd make, but sure, he's up there.
He's not that far behind Jack Hughes.
It's Hughes, then Kako, then a big gap, and then
everybody else.
So for sure, but the thought of like if Capo Kako was different, then he'd be first overall, and that's why we were ranking him first. I don't know. Does he have a history of playing center? Would he be an effective center?
He can. He has. Not for long stretches, but yeah, well, even at that, you look at Jack Hughes is the USNTDP's all-time leading scorer. Now think of the players who have come through that program. Matthews, Eichel, Keller, Kessel. Hughes is the all-time leader. Come on. And he's only been getting better as the years progressed. It's this Kako too is one of those things where people put too much weight onto one moment. Because Kako, one of the things they cited, or one of the people that was talking about Kako said, yeah, he scored the gold medal winning goal in the World Juniors. Well, yeah, that's amazing, but I'm going to take a year's worth of work, 2 years worth of work over a really nice goal scored in one scenario.
Didn't Hughes like hit the post on a potential game?
I think he even had an assist in that game.
I'm not saying like this will definitively end with Hughes as number 1. I'm excited to dive more into this as the season peters off. The Detroit has 9 games left. It might end up where at least one of us says, "Oh yeah, Kako should go first." But as of right now, I don't know. That was to me that was more just like title grabby by Sportsnet. I wasn't
just getting those clicks in the ad revenue.
Mm-hmm. How do we do that? Vasily Podkolzin, number 1,
first overall. Here's why. It's just the cowbell.
It's like, if Vasily Podkolzin was American and put up X amount of points in the USNDDP, he would be first overall.
Some quick hits. Brad Marchand was voted both the best and worst trash talker in the league.
That seems appropriate.
And, I guess that was my only quick hit. Any other quick hits?
Gritty won best mascot by a landslide.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even up for debate. The fact that it wasn't unanimous, I'm a little insulted.
It was probably the other
might have been a
mascots
ranked ballot
voting against him. We're going to head over to Overtime, which of course is brought to us by our Patreon supporters, whose comments are the only ones read out during Overtime on these midweek episodes. So, 13 of you guys got in on this. So we are going to start off with K-Was, who says, so 9 games to go, Athanasiou only needs 2 goals, and Larkin only needs 3 to hit 30. Sure would like that to be our silver lining from this season. March Madness is here, and I have a feeling we're going to have a very boring Final Four. But if you had to take a non-1 seed to the Final Four, who are you taking and why?
Texas Tech!
Really?
Yep, and I'm not telling you why, because I don't want you to change your bracket.
I think I had Auburn, just because I originally had like 1-1-1-2 in my Final Four, and I was like, that's boring.
I really like Houston. I don't think Kentucky has an easy road out of their region. I like Houston.
Auburn's in that region, right?
Yep, that region is hella tough, and so is Duke's. Duke's is real tough.
Yeah, but Zion.
I don't know who to take over them or Michigan State. I'm stuck on that one.
But Zion.
It took me 3 hours to do my bracket today.
Oh man, don't do that. My best brackets, and I've gotten lucky with a couple brackets. Like they've done really well. I made them in like 6 minutes. Yeah, don't be.
I've got one other group with my friends. That's my hot take bracket.
When can we change them until?
Up until 11:45 tomorrow, but I would highly recommend not looking at it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Don't look at it tomorrow morning.
I might change my final four now that I say it out loud.
Somebody eats a strip of bacon tomorrow. It screws. People start changing their brackets, so it's best to just.
Is there still that $1 billion prize?
Warren Buffett put it up, but I don't know if he is this year. There's $1 million bracket this year, but
$1 million for the most statistically
I
improbable
don't put on
thing
pants
in
for
the
$1 million.
No. Brad?
Because I'm a Bills fan, I follow a lot of Buffalo Twitter, and they seem really big on you, Buffalo. So I'm just going to go with that.
Buffalo's a solid sleeper team too. So is Nevada.
I've heard a lot of really good things, so that's going to be my pick.
Ryan, Brad, just because you're Michigan fans isn't a valid reason. Saying they have the best defensive efficiency is a valid reason.
I think Michigan's hardest game is their first one.
Who do they have?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. But it's the more time Jim Bayline or Beeline has to prepare for single teams, the harder they're going to be to beat.
Oh, man. Evan winning over the hearts of Michigan fans everywhere.
I don't have them in my Final Four, but...
Oh, Evan!
But I like them. I like them a lot.
My bracket imploded last year, and Michigan was the only team that kept me going.
Yeah, that's the thing about the tournament. All the teams are super close. The top teams maybe not so much this year, but anybody's got a chance in the March Madness. That's why people like it.
John Evans says, "Hello, gentlemen. Greetings from Ohio. Was curious to know your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. Oh, I want one so badly.
I have.
You have one?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's the only console I would ever buy ever again.
I want it so badly.
I got it when it was like still super hard to get, and I was on this website where it every minute it refreshes the inventory of a bunch of sites, and if I didn't buy it in 30 seconds, it would be gone. And I somehow got one. I was like, holy shit! I actually bought two
and sold one.
I ended up refunding it because none of my friends wanted one at the time.
Oh, you offered it to me, and I said no.
Yeah, I offered it to literally 6 or 7 people. No one wanted it.
Pokemon Sword and Shield are coming out.
Yeah. It's worth it. They have the best.
That's not what I need to hear.
Best games. The best games I played last year were Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, and that was it. Those are the 2 best games I played last year.
Apex Legends Battle Pass just came out. Not a good Battle Pass, by the way. It's like kind of bummed out by it. But still, I love Apex, and I don't have time for much else. I have to shave at some point throughout the week, and I considered even just cutting that and growing out the beard completely.
Nice thing about the Switch is you can just pick it up and go if you want.
Shut up, man.
That's even worse because then you can pick it up and go. $3.99.
Oh no.
Games are $100.
$100?
I think they're $79.99.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little thing.
Let me tell you though, the hours you put into those games, I've done dumber things with $100.
You know what? We don't need that list, Evan.
I'm about to do dumber things with $100 this weekend.
He goes, John Evans continues to say, I recently got one. It feels juvenile, especially playing it somewhere in public, like on a plane. But I can't help but love finally being able to have access to strategy games, since I don't own a PC and I travel for work a lot. So portability is next to godliness for me. I completely get it. Ugh. So Justin Klinsky says, so Ryan is back? Damn. I enjoyed Brad having control of the pod and some ghost that the mic kept picking up. Anyways, I sometimes miss the old podcast conversations we used to have. Also forgot to fill out my bracket, so go me. Is it too late to enter?
Wait, you can do your bracket until tomorrow at 11:45. That's when I think it closes. But if you need an invite, message me on Twitter.
Yeah, DM Evan.
If you even listen to this by then. I sent out a thing on Twitter this afternoon anyway.
Anyway, remember that it's best to stand up and wipe than to sit. Ryan, I hope you enjoyed looking at my sister's dog. Cute dog. Oh, God, the ears on that dog. Dog, relax. And following me on the tweet. John Schultz says, hello, gents. A couple random thoughts. So I've learned a lot more about the junior hockey landscape since listening to the podcast. And last pod you mentioned looking forward to watching the bloodbath between Kitchener and Guelph on TV. What got me thinking as a non-professional sports as non-professional sports go, is junior hockey to Canada as college football is to the USA? That was a question.
No.
No, college football is a religion.
Yes, but not to the same extent. Like if you get it's like in college football where if you're in a college town, the whole town goes nuts for it. Like Kitchener, they're all in on the Rangers, but it's nowhere near to the extent that
It's still
college
pretty
football
mild.
is.
Like there's
Yeah.
a little epicenter of the region that is into Kitchener, but I wouldn't say it's fanatical everywhere that on Friday night you go to the Rangers game.
Well, every game does sell out. Like the Rangers do
Yeah.
sell out, but no, it's not like there's viewing parties around town for Rangers games or anything like
No.
that.
One of the biggest stadiums in the world is a college football stadium in Michigan.
Yeah.
That's all you
That
need to know.
sums it up. Yeah.
And then he says, which, by the way, go Irish. Michigan can suck it. Disagree. However, we can both agree that Ohio State is the worst, so that whole common enemy makes us friends thing, right? Absolutely. Ohio State is the worst. Thank you for
And
saying
Rudy
that.
was a good movie.
Was a good movie. So I thought it would be a good idea to take up goalie at the age of 45 to be a better coach to my son.
Oh God.
Oh, my heart. Bless your soul.
groin.
I've coached it for over 2 years, and I've demonstrated the movements in player skates with no gear. But pulling that off with 50 pounds of equipment on you is a completely different animal. Have you guys ever taken a turn between the pipes? Yeah, it's hard. And if you're a goalie, you're nuts. Except for John, your son, future Red Wing. Keep it up.
I've actually done it in pond hockey relatively recently. It's I'll toot my own horn. I was better than I thought, but Christ, I was bad.
It's certainly an artwork of moving around the net. It is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, like the fundamentals I had down, but like that lateral movement
As
to
soon
do
as
it
I needed
smoothly,
to move
it's
side
gone.
to side, I was hopeless. But you know, if I could just stand there and take shots, everything was okay.
I just adapted that every time it went like 3 feet to my left, just a Tim Thomas 2-arm dive.
Yeah, I was all over the map.
And then he says, lastly, Murphy is still terrible. Man, a lot of hate for Larry Murphy.
Man, I was actually paying close attention to him during the Rangers broadcast. Not great, Bob. There was times he just pointed out the audio, and I just looked at Crystal and I just yelled, "Thanks, Murph!" Like it's not that he says anything that's dumb or wrong. He points out the obvious a little way too often.
Rowan says, "Welcome." Oh, I forgot about this. Welcome back, winner of the recent popularity contest and people's favorite, Ryan. We hope
That was because he was the propaganda campaign he was running for you on his feed was what did that.
We hope you enjoyed New York City. Also, hello to the runners-up of the aforementioned definitive popularity contest. Welcome, gentlemen.
On Rowan's timeline.
Ryan, what would you say gave you the edge in your recent campaign over what's his name and the other bloke?
The fact it was on Rowan's timeline.
I think it was truly just the heart of the people and the will of the nation, winning both the popular vote and the electoral
People
college
love
was
an
really
underdog
huge.
story.
Yeah.
It was pretty much the movie Rudy.
Yeah.
That played out. Questions for, and this is a
Just
little.
remember, when you count mine and Evan's votes, a majority of the people did not pick you.
Oh, we're doing that now. We're doing first past the post now, are we?
There was no majority government here.
Should have been a ranked ballot.
Oh man.
I think when you actually break down the regions, me and Evan won the Electoral College, or one of us did. Like,
Oh, congratulations.
you had New York City, we had the rest of the country.
You carried the Bible Belt. Good for
We
you.
did some severe gerrymandering.
That was the best politics we've ever done on this show.
The only politics we've done where we didn't offend half our listeners.
We have a little bananas and pajamas reference here. Questions for B1 and B2. What do you think you could have done better, and where did you lose the votes?
We put it on Rowan's timeline instead of a proper timeline.
Can we get the results of the poll made into some Winged Wheel podcast merchandise? I hereby give you permission to use the screenshot, and I'm open to buying multiples as giveaways for the last game of this season.
We get, what, 20,000 plus listens a month, and that poll didn't even get 200 votes? Just throwing that out there.
Oh, we're at about 26,000 listens a month. Just about.
Yeah, cool. Good to know.
So hockey's still going, huh? Hit me with that Zegras versus Cousins debate, since draft is more interesting than the remaining
There's a good
games.
question.
Who do you got and why?
Okay. I actually love this question because I'm torn on these two guys constantly. Cousins has the better raw tools. Better skater, better shot. More of a dynamic player, but Zegras has stronger hockey IQ, and that's my number one trait. And it's not that his skills are light years behind Cousins. It's close. And it's not that Cousins has poor hockey IQ. It's just, that's going to be one of the most fascinating debates in the draft, because I think one of those are going to be the first two centers to come off the board after Hughes. Man, yeah. Right now, I think I'm leaning Zegras, but that's going to flip-flop day by day at this point.
Jersey time. It looks like Calgary are moving.
This is your god?
Yeah. It looks like Calgary are moving to their alternate jerseys full time. I know it's Arizona, but still play along. I love the fact that Calgary are using their retros throughout the whole playoffs, and I hope they wisen up and use those as a home away set next year. Yep. That's the only answer.
Correct.
Marissa says, since the this or that game was a relative success, let's play yay or nay. Just say yay or nay for the following. If you say yes or no instead of yay or nay, you're disqualified. Pineapple on pizza.
Yay.
Yay.
Disqualified. I don't care. I'm not. No strong opinion.
Christmas music before December. Yay.
Nay.
Nay.
Starts November for me. Subtitles on movies.
Yay. I can't speak German.
So, okay, to clarify the question.
Movies in your native language, I'm sure.
So, subtitles or the crappy English dubbed over audio?
No, subtitles.
That's what I mean. We're asking, would you rather have...
the movie's in English, but you still have subtitles.
Oh, nay.
Sometimes they speak quietly.
Turn the volume up then, you pleb.
Sometimes it's in the deep south and you don't know what they're saying.
Anime.
Nay.
Nay. Not because I think it's bad. I'm just not into it. Audiobooks.
Nay.
Yay. It's a good way to listen to some books.
Nay.
Cold pizza. Yay.
Nay.
Nay.
Whoa. Camping.
Yay.
Yay.
Nay.
Yeah, we know.
I hate spiders.
3D movies. Nay. No. Bad. I'm not wearing your dumb glasses and having a headache. Nay.
I'm gonna go nay.
All right.
I'll say yay, only because it works for some, but 90% don't.
Waking up early. Love to do it. Wish I could.
Yay to Ryan's comment.
Cilantro. Nay.
Yay! I love cilantro.
I have that genetic thing. It tastes like soap to me.
It's called your palate.
Nay.
Needs to advance.
No, I try. Once a year, I'm like, maybe it's just my palate.
Yeah, there you go. Once a year.
No.
This is one of those segments YouTube's going to really convey my apathy to some of these, because I'm just like right in the middle of don't care.
Country music.
Nay.
Nay.
I'm a hard nay, and I have to go to Nashville.
I like a lot of country songs, but just like the average country song today. The same people who oftentimes I hear a lot of people who love country music saying, "Oh, like all the rap sounds the same. It's just all like mumbling
Country is
to me."
music is rap for white people.
Honestly, like just there's not old country music for sure.
Crystal and her family love country music. I've been around it a lot. It's awful. I'm very open-minded with music. Trap rap and country are the two I can't do.
I feel like if you found the true version of both, you could probably find some listenability to it, but the commercialized versions is
Have you ever seen Bo Burnham's song "Pandarin" on YouTube?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Horror movies. Yay.
Yay.
I'm going to see Us tomorrow.
Do you guys do you say The Haunting of Hill House? Did you watch that?
I have not.
On Netflix? Oh, you're in for a good one.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Real good.
Mel doesn't do horror, so we should
Neither does Catherine, and she couldn't put it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like horror, but when it's just too many jump scares, I get irritated.
It's not. This one's not. And
fantastic.
in this show, there is like a dead person or a ghost or some supernatural form in almost every episode, and you miss it all the time. And if you go back and watch it, you'll see it again.
Interesting.
You're like, holy shit.
You know what would be brilliant if Netflix had some sort of capacity that it actually wasn't there the first time you watched it, and it only went in on the second watch.
That actually would be brilliant.
I don't know if that's even possible.
Oh, for sure there is. Surprise parties for yourself. Like you don't plan it, but like someone threw you a surprise party.
Nay, I hate it. And Crystal's done it.
If you say yay, does that make you...
I know, like I'm like, that sounds like a nice thing.
I mean, I like being around all my friends and like not having any plans, then all of a sudden they're there. I'm like, yeah, this is nice, but nay.
I'll say yay. I'll take that bullet.
As much as it sounds backwards, given who I am as a person, I actually hate being the center of attention in scenarios like that. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't mind being like the
hands.
focal point of attention, like talking on a podcast or like giving a presentation. Like there's there's a function behind it, a purpose, and that's great. And I don't mind being the center of attention in scenarios like that. But if it's because of me or something I did or just celebrate, no, it's weird. I hate it.
Sushi.
Yay.
Yay. Connor Baker says, hey guys, love the pod.
Nay.
I'm originally... Welcome.
I didn't say the question was over. Nay.
Welcome to the Winged Wheel podcast family, Connor.
Yay?
If Evan has no further role in this podcast other than just saying yay or nay for the next 5 years,
Like
Don't
Julius
give him-
Caesar, I do thumbs up or thumbs down. But
Do
since
not
it's a
give him
podcast, I
ideas.
say yay or nay.
Do not enable that. He says, I'm originally from Grand Rapids, but live in Wisconsin, so it's nice to have a source of Wings news out here in Cheesehead land. Simple question for you. Who do you see potentially making the All-Star game next year from the Wings, and who will be our designated representative? Thanks for the great content.
Larkin. And Larkin.
Yeah, that list starts and ends at Larkin.
Yeah, Athanasiou might get some consideration, and if Jimmy sees the same amount of rubber next year, he'll get some consideration, but no, it's Larkin.
Oh, I realized I missed a part of John Schultz's comment. He said, it was weird hearing Evan so much with Ryan gone, but he wasn't terrible. Perhaps if you take away his phone, he'll be more participatory when Ryan's present.
Wow.
We should start doing that, taking away Evan's phone. Adam Flett says Athanasiou's been dropped as a center option, and I agree with that. However, who does that leave us at the center position?
Second line center, Glendening.
Larkin has first, then what? Nielsen, Luke Glendening, and De La Rose? Yeah, that's 3 fourth-line centers.
Okay, so if we're talking short-term answer, yeah, you're screwed. If we're talking long-term answer, Joe Veleno, who's having a fantastic... I think he actually finished as the highest points per game in the queue this year. And based on the way this draft shakes out, if Detroit's picking anywhere but second or third, I think they're going center. So
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that the long-term solution won't be an issue. But yeah, in the short term, man, there's not a lot there. It's Larkin. Rasmussen's not built for center. Athanasiou's just realistically not built for center, although I still think part of me thinks he could, but he's better suited to the wing.
Keep him where he's successful.
Yeah, there's not a lot to work with right now.
Suppose only question is of who the free agents at center do you make a run at? Duchesne is obviously, but who else?
Nobody else. There's nobody else that's worth throwing money at long term on.
Glad Ryan is back as he answers back to Brad, if only to play devil's advocate. It's better than the last show's Lovin'. Oh, did you guys get a little frisky last episode?
We didn't disagree on a lot.
Well, that's why I hate you both. Connor Jager says, hey guys, I'm pretty sure Evan talked more last episode than all last year's episodes combined. Good to know that the pod has better depth than the Wings. Yeah, we have.
Well, I think the summer went for about 5 months, so
just
half
about.
the year's gone right there anyway.
NHL rule change. If a team takes a penalty with less than 2 minutes left in the period or game, play continues until the end of that power play. Teams would have to kill the full penalty to get through the period or finish the game, kind of similar to extra time in soccer.
That'd be cool.
That actually, I don't hate that.
Okay, so it's good and bad. So this is a very, very specific problem to have, but I think people underestimate the difference between fresh ice and ice with 30 seconds left in a period. So yeah, you get that whistle in there that's a little inconvenient, but then you're also starting the next period on a fresh sheet of ice when you're looking to make a lot of clean passes. It does affect it. Now, I know statistically that whistle is more of a disadvantage, but
Whistles are time for more commercials and more money.
and also the coach with a good coach can game plan for the whatever 36 seconds you have left in your power play or whatever it is. So
Love is all about whistles.
What?
Bo Burnham. No? All right.
nope. Nothing.
I just think it's kind of useless when a team goes on the power play with 10 seconds left in the game. As always, keep up the good work. Thank you, Connor. Scott O'Touche, who I believe is a new patron. So welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast family, and thank you for your support, Scott.
Do I need to invite him to the March Madness?
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll find
You're in charge of that.
Uh-oh.
Ask Evan. That's what I've been telling everyone. He says, extremely pleased with the new Howard contract. The pessimist in me is now worried about what the next Athanasiou deal looks like. Well, I mean, he's on a 2-year deal, right?
Yeah.
So if next year he continues to keep this up, then you pay him, yeah.
If he scores 30 again next year, well, not that he's guaranteed to score 30 this year, but if he gets around 30 again next year and they want to pay him $5-6 million a year long term, fantastic.
Chad Avina says, I'm sure you guys will already talk about this before overtime, but why is Howard's deal only for 1 year? Is Howard considering retirement, or are they concerned about him aging? The latter. You can't.
Yeah.
Pretty much, the way the deal should have gone based on common wisdom is low term, high money, because Howard still is performing, or 2 to 3 years, and then he takes a smaller cap hit. The Red Wings / Ken Holland got the best of both worlds. So...
Yep.
Yeah, this is a good contract.
Yeah, and not that it would happen, and the odds are 1 in a billion, but hypothetically, if Philip Larson just goes insane at the University of Denver next year, or Eliasson or whoever turns out to be a little ready earlier than we thought, well, then you don't have to keep dragging him along or whatever, because there's 2 goalies in the way. That's not going to be an issue, but hey, it's always nice to have flexibility just in case, or even if there's a trade at the deadline next year and one of the returns Detroit gets on whoever they trade away is a young goalie, like let's say a John Gillies out of Calgary, who's a lot closer to being ready. So in professional sports, it's always good to have options, and Detroit's keeping theirs wide open with 1-year contracts.
And then his last question was, or is Holland getting ready for his exit and trying to leave as much flexibility for Yzerman as possible? Yeah, no. For a guy who's about to extend Jeff Blashill, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, no.
Ryan Avina, who I believe is... Yep, here it is. Gentlemen, just signed up for Patreon, and the first thing I'd like to say is thank you for all the great content. I look forward to this podcast and appreciate all your hard work. Thank you so much, Ryan. Amazing name, and welcome to the Winged Wheel podcast family. He says, quick fan origin story. My family and I live in California and are diehard Wings fans. Back when we got into hockey about 25 years ago, my brother played on a team with Chelios' kids. He called Gretzky a ballerina and Fedorov a Russian ballerina. I believe he was on the Hawks still, but upon his going to Detroit, we followed him and fell in love with the team. It was the right call. Oh, man. That's hysterical about Chelios. It doesn't surprise me at all knowing what we know about him.
Yeah.
As for the draft lottery, as you mentioned, the bottom teams need the pick, hence being at the bottom. They suck. Most tankathons I run has 1 or 2 teams jumping up 8 to 11 spots into the top 3. What if the lottery got broken up into 2 parts? Top 5 and then 6 to 15. Keeps the lottery excitement alive and doesn't guarantee a full-on tank. Gets you the top pick, but at least keeps the top players going to the worst teams. Sorry for the long-winded first comment. Keep up the good work. Thanks, guys.
Because then you'd see some ultra tanking from the teams hovering between 4 and 8 towards the end of the season to get into that top 5.
The more I think about it, the more I think that you and some combination of you and Evan was objectively right.
What?
The world is ending, Evan.
Yeah.
Take cover.
I don't feel good saying that, but that's more of what I believe. However, what I believe more than that still is that the league won't change it.
Nope. I know they won't.
That's it. And I'm not going to do my long-winded comment on how to support the show because that's coming in the outro, but I would like to thank all of our name-level sponsors from Patreon, Sky Carcass, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Langabeer, Kaylin Wood, Charlie Elkins, Stan Olsen, Ryan Lewis, Dan Bell, and Hannah Lee. Thank you all so much. Listen to the new outro. She says a lot of important things, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.